Hi, my name's Sarah Preston. I am a soul-based business mentor, Akashic record reader, and beauty branding expert for healers who want to increase their value and visibility in business. So the reason I'm standing here in front of these beautiful hand-painted goddesses or muses, if you will, is because about 2 weeks ago, I started to kind of inch my way over the tipping point of burnout. And so burnout used to be something that would happen to me a lot. I'd say probably 5 or 6 years ago. I'm, really ambitious. I love to do. And, and 5 years ago, doing was, a bit of an adrenaline high for me. And back then too, I had a lot of self-love issues where I really never felt like I was enough and pushed myself quite hard. And it would mean that I would end up burning the candle at both ends, resulting in burnout. It's taken me a long time to figure out how to maintain a very balanced and sustainable approach to being the nourished business goddess. So I wanted to share a few of my tools and inspire you to perhaps incorporate some of them into your own life so that you too can start to operate from a cup that overflows and from a consistent balanced state. So, and when I say balance too, this is for me, especially the last 2 years, it really is the first time in my life where I feel like I go through days and months where it's even. The doing on the surface is just as balanced as an awareness to my inner world and a connection to what's going on in my inner world, and being able to hear my guidance system. And I think, and it's really important, but it's so easy, especially if self-love is a relationship that you're working on and actively trying to heal. So again, I wanted to share a few of my tips. So the first one, if you're on the verge of burnout, or even if you're burnt out, it generally means that we've been giving for quite a while and pushing for quite a while. And so what we want to do is something that I call reverse the flow. So instead of go, you're reversing the flow by checking in with your self-loving relationship. And I try to be very mindful of this, and every once in a while I still slip. It's an ongoing process, of course, but if I'm feeling a little bit depleted, if I haven't disconnected or slowed down for a while, I'll reverse the flow, because generally when we're depleted, it means that we're working from a contracted state, and we're losing a lot of our vibrational nutrients. And so I will focus on self-love, and that means that I'll slow down. You might even want to just start paying attention to your breath, but I'll start to be really gentle with myself. I'll check in, and I'll want to make sure that I'm letting myself know that I am doing enough. Wow, Tara, look at the last month. Look at everything you've accomplished in the last 6 months. It's okay to slow down. Good job, Tara. So I'll kind of, pay attention and, pull in some affirmations, make sure that my self-talk is geared more towards self-love. And around this time too, you want to look at any self-care activities. So you just want to kind of flip the switch from giving to receiving love from self. So that's the first thing that I'll always check in, and that usually kind of opens the door, because now you're starting to operate from a nice full expanded state rather than a contracted tight state of pushing. So you want to create that nice balance, right, between the masculine and the feminine. The second thing that has been instrumental for me in being able to sustain a nice balanced approach to being nourished is working with the feminine cycle and rhythms of the moon, and even the seasons. But generally, just to give you a peek at the process that I've been using, is that I use, it's a feminine approach, and I work with the phases of the moon. So around the new moon, I'm giving myself about 3 days where I slow down. And it's a time where I'm not scheduling as many activities. I might schedule some one-on-one connection time with the girlfriend. I'm definitely always, engaging in some kind of creative project. And I'm journaling. It's really a time to just decompress, to slow down, and to just nurture, love myself and my family. So, doing this every month it's been so powerful. And so when you begin to work with these phases of the moon, what you'll notice is after the new moon, about a week, the energies start to pick up. And so if you're a business goddess like myself, I'm using the new moon time to vision. I'm planning my month. And then around take of the cycle, it's when I'll start to, the waxing phase of the moon is when I'll start to I'll start to lay out the foundation for the month ahead. And then at the full moon, my energy is at its peak. And it's generally when you just naturally have a lot of energy reserves, especially if you've taken that time during the new moon to just rest and replenish. So it's when I have a lot more clients that I'm working with. I might be out networking more. It's definitely a much more outgoing phase of the moon. About a week after that, we're looking at the waning phase of the moon, and that's when I'm generally, looking at slowing down. What can I wrap up? What can I finish up that will allow me to create some space for that slower time of the cycle where I'm nourishing and replenishing. So that has definitely been instrumental, and I really invite you to cultivate your own connection with the rhythms and the cycles of the moon. Next, one of the things that I do to avoid burnout and feeling depleted is I often will engage in creative activities. So I'm standing in front of 3 goddesses or muses, if you will. And the reason that I'm doing that is because like I said, about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I was starting to kind of notice that I was putting out more than I was putting in. And I know then that it's time to I gotta stop and I gotta nourish. So these have been hanging on my mother-in-law's wall since probably about the 70s, and we went to her house a couple weekends ago, and she had them in a brown box sitting there, and they were about to be carted off to a secondhand store. And I asked her if I could have them to paint them. I'd always wanted to paint them. They were brown and they were beautiful, but I always thought that they would be really fun to do a creative makeover on. And so that was one of the projects that I took on as a way to really nourish and replenish myself. And one of the other things that I love to do regularly is to bring in the energy of beauty. In our society, beauty is not necessarily always a top priority, but bringing in the energy of beauty, or even spending time within the natural beauty of nature, it has such a regenerative spiritual quality to it. And not only just by being with it in nature, by bringing pieces of beauty from nature into your home, but also as women, we really there's a very nourishing effect by adorning ourselves with beautiful objects. And so that could be jewelry, that could be clothes, and it could be even a beautiful lipstick color. And I know some women have sometimes like a self-image of themselves or an image of themselves where it doesn't necessarily include, adorning or wearing things that are beautiful. But I encourage you to step outside the box of how you perceive yourself and, try on something that you might not normally try on. There really is, you begin carrying yourself differently when you start to incorporate objects or art or pieces from nature that are inspiring and beautiful to you. So those are a few of my tips and tools, and I invite you to try them out, especially if you are feeling depleted. Generally, it's really about, again, just reversing that flow, keeping it consistent, keeping it sustainable, and so that you're putting as much as you're putting out, you're putting back in. Thanks so much. The next video that I'll be putting out is about the connected goddess. Many times, if we're feeling a little bit burnt out or disconnected, there's a little bit of a process to making our way back to connecting to our inner voice or guidance system. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.